Real people, real radio.
Initiating the truth frequency.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
When you finally boil it all down, magic is imagination. We are moving into an age of manifestation. Things become actually less material, more ethereal. The golden dawn is when we awaken to this new station of life. What you think becomes real quicker. Regain our imagination, regain our inner child, and let that inner child out.
My name is Frank Castle, founding member of the music group Heist and New York City Neo Shaman. After a serious injury sidelined my career in 2013, I decided to set out on an adventure to search for myself with the help of the plant medicine ayahuasca. What I discovered waiting for me was something I could have never prepared for. It was time for me to become something more, someone more. It was time I became fearless. Shine as my heart beats a rhythm with space and time. When the light starts to shine inside your third eye, you awake to the knowledge that you never die. All right. You know what time it is?
What time is it?
Saturday night. It's time to become fearless. What is up, everyone? So excited to be here tonight. It's been a crazy week once again. When is it not?
I know.
I'm here with my etherical translator and prayer warrior, super healer herself, Paula the Magnificent. Sorry, we're very hyped up. We're very excited tonight for tonight's show. I think Paula was cooking, and it was like a meditation.
Yeah, meditation right before the show.
Everybody has different forms of meditation. They don't even realize they're doing it. It could be a daydream. It could be singing in the shower.
Yeah.
It could be like planting in a garden, running your feet through the grass. I mean, there's just so many different things. There's really no wrong way. So with that, get out there and do it. Want to say thank you to Chris and Cherie Gia once again. I'm going to thank them every single time because without them, I wouldn't be here with you. And I love being here with you now. It's such a fantastic opportunity that we have to share this kind of information. And I want to say, what's up? The Shaman of the Week is going to be Johnny Ayahuasca. Follow him on YouTube at that name, Johnny Ayahuasca. I thank him so much because I learn so much from different shaman. It's hard to find what I need here sometimes, but out there, the connectivity, the internet, the connections that are growing at this point, there's nothing perfect about me. I'm always a student. I may be at a level that someone else is not at, but I just achieved it first. But there's been way more before me, and we're all at just different levels. And I go up to my level and throw a rope down and say, come on up, everyone. And then I find out anything I missed. Someone always jumps ahead. There's always like someone in the group that jumps ahead a few steps and then relates it back to us so we can. This is how we level up. It's how it's done, right?
Yeah, knowledge sharing.
Yeah, there's nothing better than communicating and sharing knowledge, trying to find that truth within and the interesting stories that come up out of it and the tales that we find that become true with our search using the plant medicines. So I want to thank everybody also. Last night on Truth Frequency, I was part of the Woo crew. Kev Baker, shout outs to Joe, Popeye, and everybody else that was there. I had such a good time. Being part of this family is awesome.
Oh, yeah, it was a really good show.
The round tables and the discussions and the information that comes out, it's very important. And I'll keep it short tonight, and don't forget to check out Heist Click. That's HeistClick on YouTube. You can find us on Amazon, on iTunes, on Facebook, Reverb Nation at Heist Click Music. The tunes are really fantastic and, kind of represent, it's almost like some of the music we did described what was happening now. And it's amazing to be part of that process. Just so happy. And what else? We got another, astrology. That's right. if anyone out there is looking for like an astrologist or somebody that works with astrology, not astrologist, that would be like take your telescope out in the backyard, but astrology, we have someone that we have worked with, and that is really good. And I'll only share the information after I've shuffled through it and made sure it was correct and it's good. And this is fantastic.
She's on the money.
So how could you find her?
What did she? Facebook, she said?
Facebook.
Christy Bellick, Kristy Bellich on Facebook. She's amazing.
She's a shaman, but she won't admit it yet, but it's okay. We love her very much, and she's awesome. So definitely check her out. All right, now that we thanked everyone and we're back in the game, last week we left off with me being on the tour, watching my partner fall during the tour. Yeah, fall apart during the tour. I left out some stuff I wanted to get back to. During the tour itself, I was noticing, and the whole time my third eye was open. It never closed.
Right.
And you could hear them talking if you listen. It's like you're now tuned into the frequency of the universe. People think because you're doing some hip hop that you're gangster, or you're going through some places that are just awesome and we're popping champagne and smoking blunts, and that does happen occasionally. It's rare, all right. But some of the places we went to were really shady, and we were cross country in it, and we were going to all different spots. I noticed the architecture of the layout of the land, so to speak, of all the land. As anything I passed with an open eye, I wanted to check into. It just seemed to interest me, and I noticed that everything has the angles on it. Now, I know when they go tinfoil hat deep into the wrong direction, deep overboard where they would say I might be, they would say, oh, you see a triangle, and that is... you're freaking out now. Oh, look, it's a triangle in nature. Illuminati. It's a triangle in this. Illuminati. Your doorbell shaped that way. Illuminati household. Like, we can make jokes all day long. But I started noticing that, they say Freemasons created the architecture that built the nation. And you check anyone that looks into Washington, D.C. and that whole area, you have to know that that's a satanic layout, that they could have a ritual to create the energy to basically bind people to be slaves. If you're not paying attention, it kind of puts another cover over you breaking free. But that's just within the architecture. And people say, well, that's what? What does that mean? All right, so I go to the first nightclub, and I notice that they have the eye in the triangle, the pyramid, floating in laser lights across the ceiling everywhere. Everywhere you looked, it was that.
Subliminal messages.
The artists were allowed inside the building, local artists, to put up their artwork but build it into the architecture of the place. So the wall would be painted, but it would be 3D and come out Jimi Hendrix and this and that. But everything had this eyeball presence.
Really?
It was really weird. I took a whole bunch of pictures. I took 150 pictures that night. I never take pictures of anything. And I don't know if I was freaking out or if I was seeing what I was seeing was real, but they were telling me, look, it is real. You're freaking out. Calm down. It doesn't mean everything's Illuminati. That's not what we're getting at. What we're saying is the shape of the architecture and the layout of the land is like standing inside the circle of the ritual, right? So,
right. And also these are things you've never noticed before.
Never, ever noticed.
Now they're jumping out at you.
Well, you got to remember, and first with the hip hop, they cover one eye and they're like, hey, I'm down and in and I'm sexy, and it's always the one eye. And then you learn about it and you go, everyone's in on it. Everyone. And it just goes deeper and deeper. So I'm looking at the architecture and I'm saying to myself, okay, so now I'm standing with different shapes and symbols around me, surrounding me at all times. So they said, yes, you're living in the ritual itself. They built the area, the sacred space, in the geometry that is necessary for the ritual to actually even work. I spoke of this once before, where you stand on the pentagram on the floor, and that becomes like your sacred space to travel. Like you're calling out to that energy and you're bringing it directly into where you're standing. Okay, so
Like your place on the chessboard.
right, like a place on the chessboard. And you look around and you see fast food joints on every corner, and you see everything is crappy food, processed, quick, as fast as you can go. Everyone that swears they're not on drugs drinks coffee or some form of caffeine, takes in sugar more than any normal. I was online at Dunkin' Donuts, and the girl in front of me, and she was a real pretty girl. I said, "Oh, I'm curious what she's going to get in this giant latte drink, right? It's already blasted out." And she looks at the guy, and the guy's like, "Oh, how many sugars?" And she like leaned in like this. She goes, 7.
Seven sugars?
I said 7 out loud. I went,
Oh
7.
my God.
I was like, you're going to ruin everything. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, but I don't know if I ever got 7 sugars, but I've definitely gone up to 5 maybe, but on a large.
But you're talking about a quart of coffee.
I was thinking to myself, we're pumping in this stuff all the time, and you're screaming at potheads, people who smoke a plant, you're calling them drug addicts. People like Shaman that you go, oh, well, they're on drugs, they're on psychedelics. Like, what do you know what's going on? Oh, funny, but they mapped this out like thousands of years ago. This has been knowledge that we're just repeating. We're just regurgitating the information in our space-time at this moment in the now to remind you that it's not over and that there is more and you have more, you are more. You know, the light is true.
Yeah.
You know, everybody out there searching for the truth in some little weird way or another. But, okay, so the living ritual is happening constantly. I mean, you wake up. Now, it gets crazy when you say it was the shape of the room, the shape of this, the shape of that. It's your environment. And in that environment, as you're, I seem to do this a lot, but we're going to talk about Pepsi for a second. The company Pepsi. Okay, the company Pepsi has a secret flavor, and it's like their little secret for the flavor of the soda itself. It makes it what's different than Coke, right? Now, I am an ex-federal USDA food inspector. They put, it's so hard to say this because people don't believe you, and you just Google this. They put dead fetuses
Here we go.
that they buy from China into the mix, and that's the yummy sweet taste flavor you get. They don't tell you that stuff, right? They don't tell you that the pink
No, they don't tell
ice
anyone
cream
that.
coloring on the cakes, that icing, the pink strawberry flavor is actually bacteria and poop from bacteria. They don't tell you stuff like that. It just comes out and it tastes like that. That's what's yum, 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 right? Natural flavors, right? Taste the strawberry flavor. So you're drinking this, which is acceptance of the ritual. You're eating the processed food, which is dropping your vibration low into a vibration where the AI is broadcasting its frequency right at you because your body is not acting in its what? You're laughing at me. It's your output needs to be high and your input needs to be excellent, and you're eating crappy things. Right? You're smoking cigarettes and you don't exercise, and you know, we laugh at these things, but you add a little bit more, right? 10% a week to your plate, and you'll learn that it's not as difficult as you might think. You say to yourself, I can't do this. You're already failed. Say, I'm going to try it. Let's do it. And these things start to work. Anyway, someone like my brother who says, I'm not involved in this nonsense. I don't subscribe to this because I don't believe in it. And I said, but you're walking around with a Diet Pepsi in your hand, screaming, I'm not part of the ritual, standing in front of the church, going, I have to get my son baptized. Now, I don't know how to explain to people what they sound like, especially family members. You can't attack them because you can't attack people with the truth. You speak the truth when necessary. Don't force it down anyone's throat. They'll leave with the seed. If they don't want to hear it, they don't want to hear it. The ones that need to hear it will hear it. They'll turn to you and say, hey, man, how you doing? Like weird. You pass a cigarette to someone. All right, I'll use myself as an example. I walked down the street. This guy looked like he was going to jump me. And if you know me and look at me, you're not going to want to jump me. He looked at me from the bus sign and then came around and he said, hey, what's up, my brother? And I said, oh, here comes a crackhead. And he was a totally normal looking guy when I looked. And I said, what's up? He's like, yo, man, I hate to ask you, but can I get a cigarette? And then I said, yeah, next time maybe don't jump out at me and scare the living crap out of me. And then he's like, oh, no, man, you know how hard. And then the discussion started. Wait, this guy was mad cool. Mm-hmm. I say, mad, like I know I have a heavy Bronx accent sometimes, and I apologize for those that don't understand the overemphasis on words. My hands are moving.
Flailing.
Yeah, like I'm doing Italian sign language to people. And you should know when I swing my arms like this, it means extra crazy. Well, that's what goes on anyway. So yeah, the signs and symbols and the living rituals and the people acting like they're not part of it. You guys are all part of it. We're all part of it. It's so difficult once you go to the store and start shopping for yourself to see that you really are buying things that say natural or unnatural. There's fluoride in the water. Get over it, people. Understand that. Filter your water. Stop arguing points with people because you sound moronic when you can just type into Google. You have a phone that is a computer.
Yeah, it's a computer.
Type in whatever you want and then show somebody. Type in Pepsi fetus.
Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me.
I'm just letting you know you'll be quite surprised with the outcome of this. Now, all of this combined, just like in the first Batman movie with Michael Keaton, no one can figure out what the Joker was doing, right? But they knew it was in the products. Halfway through the movie or whatever, Batman comes up and he goes, hey, we know what's going on. It's not in one of the products. It's in all the products. And you mix hair products with brushing your teeth, with you taking a shower and not being protected from the water, the chlorine,
of course, yeah.
Mixed with the powder you're using with the baby powder. Companies are getting in trouble because the clogging from the baby powder is causing cancer in people. You look it up. It's true. Most of these unnatural things, which was most things, cause cancer. So you're living in this ritual. What do you do? Step by step, one at a time, one thing at a time. It usually pisses people off first. Because I was angry. And then I got nauseous when I seen how, oh my God, it's lowercase g. It's everywhere. I can't go anywhere without anything. But now you can't be paranoid. You have to live in this. Remind yourself you're a creator. Okay, once you realize who you are, you can start taking things back. These are just sacred symbols. It doesn't mean that the symbols are evil. Somebody's using them against you. A lightsaber in Darth Vader's hand, he'll chop up babies. A lightsaber in Luke's hand, he stops Darth Vader. Everyone lives comfortably ever after. You have to kind of see how they're lining it up. And only something, man could think of some crazy stuff. But I'm telling you, from the Bronx in me, that knows when somebody's full of it, they have help, big help. Mm-hmm. The music industry, we were discussing this last night, has help. They do dark ritual. It doesn't have to necessarily be demonic. It could just be a way of pulling in an energy that somehow feeds you and makes your clan, your company, the space you're in, the company you're with, as long as you're practicing, whatever vehicle you're using gets the strength, but you give up something in this. I'm just reminding you that you can do everything you need to do without any of those things. And people just do that because they want the direct result. The dark side of the Force, yes, one guy is more powerful than 10 Jedis, but you know why, right? Because he's corrupted. They're all ugly because corruption uglifies you. Yeah, you get some power, but you're going to get 10 Jedi that come along eventually, and they're going to go, you're done. Yeah. And they're going to wait for you to attack them, and then they have the upper hand. That's how the light force seems to work. You don't really deal with it. You say, hey, this has got to stop. And then when the craziness occurs, you stomp it out. Done. And you walk away from it. You say, okay, let's learn our lesson and never do that ever again. I have friends that were hitting me up saying, knowing this, these guys that are part of this, they should be tried and hung in front of people. And I was a big component of hanging them in front of everyone in Giant Stadium, but you can't do that. What you do is you bring them out in front of everyone, and because this is something I have to talk about. Disclosure is coming. Mm-hmm. It's already been happening. If you haven't noticed, like the first 2 episodes of the X-Files. Yes. The first 2 were amazing. The rest was kind of, it's almost, you have to go deep like we do to understand reptilians and different multiverses and all kinds of stuff. It almost looks silly from the shallow end, watching it on TV, but when you know what they're talking about, you know that the truth is slipped in there because part of the ritual is they have to tell you what they're doing and what's actually happening. And here's the trick. They're allowed to do it in symbols that you don't understand because you think they're evil or corrupted or whatever. So you don't even bother, but you see them and you're like, it doesn't matter. It's just a thing on the wall. Right. Corruption. And it's a symbol that is activating energy that can not be good for you. Trust me when I say.
It's also the media slipping it in to make us comfortable with the idea of aliens.
Well, it's television programming. People don't really understand that the box on your wall is
programming.
Yeah. They're launching signals through the TV in the forms of pixels that are really good now. You can't even see them. And there's millions of little lights flashing. Now, they've been working on monkeys in cages, staring at these screens for hours to get them to calm, get them to react a certain way by broadcasting the signal in a different frequency, because your TV is emitting a frequency. It's thousands and billions of millions of little pixels and things flying through the screen to make the film. If you stopped it and slowed it and looked into it, you see what's going on. This is, it's deep. Now, what would do this to you? Everyone's got a smartphone. Everyone's got this. All right.
Everyone has a television too.
I'm driving and I'm seeing and I'm hearing all this stuff and I'm thinking to myself, wow, the AI is in my hand. Google's great. Everything's great at first. It's when you start putting the chips into your head. That's when it starts when you put the chip into your arm. The religion was taken over. It's a control system. But when they talk about the mark of the beast, they're talking about the artificial intelligence takeover. It comes in a suit and tie. It grants you wishes. It tells you this is fantastic. It's like, why walk when you can fly, right? And everything's great and grand. But without having like a respect for that journey and like understanding it fully instead of just being it given down to you, there's a negative side to the whole thing. And you have to watch for that. It's actually part of the problem. There's non-education in these things. So I see this and I freak out the whole time and I stay positive. And I said this last week, none of their rituals worked. They had a shaman with them. His name was Carl. I don't want to give away a lot of names, especially on the tour, because I can't dig in that deep. There were Wu members there, though. They heard me talking, heard Carl say, nothing works when Frank's here. They brought me into a meeting and instantly explained to me, you have to know what's going on because I heard you talk about these different entities. So you know the Saturn energy that's working direct. And I'm like, looking at these guys. Now, these are guys that you would not expect this from at all. They sat me down and busted out an astrology chart, said, you're in your fire sign. You're going to be opening the shows. These things won't work with you around. Now you're in charge of starting the whole thing so we can create at least our own momentum, right? And which I found really weird. I was pointing this out along the way, too, and some of the members of the tour got a little testy with me. They were like, every time I met somebody, they would hear that I was the guy that smoked DMT or ayahuasca, and immediately I had a crowd with me. I was like, how did this happen? And then it would just happen. And then other guys were like, can we talk about something other than the other side? And I'm like, well, gee, you spent 60 years here and you're miserable. And meanwhile, all this is happening around you. You would think you'd want the insight. And they'd be like, yeah, but we don't. We want to drink and smoke and meet people and, mess around. And I'm like, well, good. Nobody's stopping anyone. The crowd just stopped here because the message is coming out. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of young people. And I'm going to say it. There were a lot of young women that were, instead of going, oh, my God, Frank Castle, it's Face Man. Oh, my. They ran up to me like, hey, I heard you say that. And I'm like, well, how old are you? They were between like 18 and 27, let's say, and just talking to me about this. And I'm like, you're a very intelligent person. And what I noticed is there's a couple of years from like the 27 mark. I used to tell my brother, we're 7 years apart. I'm like, there's like an age break off with him and his friends where people almost go deeper into the hypnotized cycle and they're just on a low vibration. They're all like, yo, bro. You want to hang out, bro? You want to smoke pot, bro? Like, this is the mentality. Yeah. No, bro. Jets, bro. Yo, bro, you want to get smacked, bro? This is 90% of my neighborhood. Yo, what's up, bro? They scream down the street, yo. And it's like, yo, it's a different meatheads.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. But then the children, they're younger. You're like, oh, they're all screwed. No. There's a whole bunch in that teenage year into the 20s
yeah.
going, what the hell is wrong with these guys? They're all meatheads. And they're highly intelligent. And then the kids now.
Well, those are the kids that are going to wake up. Yeah.
My nephew is one of the smartest kids I've ever seen.
It's like they come encoded.
Yeah, well, they're closest to source. They come out and boop, they're out. We can retake the whole thing by teaching the children just to meditate for 15 minutes a day.
I'm teaching anyone just to meditate.
Yeah, I know, but like people who they like to tell people how they should be. Well, tell them to meditate at least 15 minutes a day because people go, I tried that once. Yeah, you should do it. It'd be good for you. Well, then you go do it then. Like pass them information because it's good stuff. You know, and this is the stuff that breaks the cycle of the ritual. This is why I'm mixing it in. It seems like it's just drama all over the place, but I'm bringing it back around because
sprinkling it into your story.
You have to. We're the creators. We can beat this. We created it. We can take it back.
Yeah.
Like the Nazi symbol. I mean, I wouldn't want to be the guy to take that one back, but it actually means peace. And it prior to them was a very important symbol. And they just said, well, we'll take it, possibly kill everyone. I have stories about what they showed me with the Nazis. I'm not even sure that they're taking like a bigger rap for what happened. Like all cards lay on Nazis, but there were more people involved with just Nazis. And they came to America and they screwed things up here as well. Look into like Operation Paperclip and stuff like that. No, I know that's for the people to do research on their own. These I just wanted to spit out the way you can get yourself back and out of the ritual. And when we come back, it's back home, fixing some mistakes and first ayahuasca experience on my own.
I feel like I'm running down the sands of time. Another drink of ayahuasca just to free my mind. I hope to find another day what I've lost before. I'm trying to find my second thing so I can lose some more. Don't try to tell me how it is or what can't be done.
Phoenix Rising Radio with Phoenix, Monday through Thursday on Truth Frequency Radio.
Am I awake or is this a dream? It's a dream. It's a dream. A fantasy of where I'd rather be. So come and talk with me. Come and walk with me. Is this a wake-up call from my reality? Have you seen my friends? Have you seen my girl? Wake me up from this. I'm trapped in this world.
All right, we're back on air. Check it out. Don't forget to sign up and for archives on TFR.
Yeah, truthfrequencyradio.com and get the mobile app. Please sign up.
Yeah, sign up because it's listener supported, and you go into the archives. There's so many great shows. If you miss it, it's free for a week, and then you can go check out every episode ever from anyone. So and there's something for everyone. There's like a month.
Yeah, there is something
3
for
months,
everyone.
a year.
And if you've had things that you've questioned previously, you can always go back into previous episodes and re-listen to them because they'll help you connect the dots. It's just a good thing.
Absolutely. Wanted to do this real quick. DNA activation symptoms. I just wanted to go over a few things to let you know that you might be leveling up.
Yeah.
So no, you're not crazy. Body aches and pains and headaches. A career change, service to others tied to soul purpose, change in family relationships or friends, connecting with your soul tribe, forgiving and moving on and cutting all cords, trusting your intuitive nature, unusual sleep habits, intense dreams, visions, physical disorientation, 3D to 5D. It's weird. I have an injury, but sometimes I'll just stand there and look around, and I tell you this, it looks like the toy house effect.
Yes.
And I'll almost see it more. Your vision plus more in your ability to see directly in your surroundings. It's almost like when you hear of people, they can feel in their surroundings, like their spider sense tingles when somebody walks into their aura or something like that. There's more, like you could see in it. Most intense. Finding your twin flame, heart chakra expansion, deep loving to go home. Seeing energies and receiving channelings or communication from the spirit realm, ascending into other dimensions, astral travel, remote viewing, telepathic communication, psychic abilities, clairvoyance, multidimensional growth. Time seems to be speeding up, or you're losing track of time. That seems to be a big one.
Yeah,
because
time speeding up. That's a big one for me.
Yeah. In your aura, they could, when they talk about 1,000 years in a second, or with or vice versa. I forget how it's said, but you experience this amount of time in such a short moment of time, but it feels like it lasts forever. Time doesn't exist on the other side. It's just whatever. By the time you blink your eye and turn somewhere else, 60 years could pass. No, you no longer care what anyone thinks of you. Your authentic self is there for the world to see. All your masks become removed, and a loss of fear, regain of personal willpower.
And again, these are DNA activation symptoms. DNA activation could be feeling that you're waking up, you're hearing the calling, etc. Those are DNA activation.
Right. Sometimes you think, like, it's not possible. This can't be happening. And then you turn, and synchronistically as you turn, something right there is right in your face that reminds you, no, that was real. Well, that's real. And I was talking also, I learned this week. Deja vu might be more of a futuristic, you leave something for yourself in the future.
Like breadcrumbs.
Like a breadcrumb in the future. And then when that future moment happens, you have this deja vu, like I've been here before.
Like
but it was really
clues and tips and tricks.
Right,
like
but
clues,
that was actually you leaving yourself the clue. Mm-hmm. And the deja vu as you was there, this is where you planted your anchor, so to speak, and the like. Okay, also, every week I'd like to throw something out there. Just mantras, different things you can say to help.
Someone sent that to you, right?
Yes. Okay. I like to take the good stuff that gets sent to me and share it with everyone immediately. So this is a smudging prayer. If you're into smudging, you get a smudging stick, you light it. What is the smudging stick made of?
Oh, sage.
Yes, the sage stick. And you put your intentions while you're holding it and lighting it. You blow it out like the fire so it smokes, right? And it's just like an ash, and then an amber, and you walk around the house and you feather or dust back and forth almost like you're washing the air around you. And you have to say something with your intentions. I want this house to be clean and clear and energies to be fixed and straight. Like I can't. Like, remember, you got to take back your sacred space. Your home is your sacred space. Your office, sacred space. You can't let people run game on you energetically in these places. So this is something that'll help you. A smudging prayer. This is what you say while you're smudging. Negativity that invades my sacred space. I banish you away with the light of my grace. You have no hold or power here, for I stand and face you with no fear. Be gone forever. For this I will say, this is my sacred place, and you will obey.
Oh, I like that.
Yes.
I like that. That's nice.
And as an MC, I like it. Rhymes. A good rhyme is always a good rhyme, right? Okay, so back to the story. Now, this was my realization on the trip home.
This is the story, and you're on your way home.
I'm home now. I'm here to fix the warning told during the warning. Last week I was talking about it. One of the things is I have to fix what I did wrong to certain people.
Right.
Fixing it means either apologizing or removing yourself from the equation,
or
possibly going in and fixing something literally, or saying, hey, I'm sorry. Some people don't want to hear the apology. That's okay. But you put the intention out there if they don't want to hear the apology, and you let it go. And then if it ever comes back, you just apologize. But you put the intention that, I made a mistake. And
you don't want to make those mistakes again.
Yeah, that's all you really have to do. Now, speaking of mistakes, as a shaman, people think, oh, well, this is what they were saying to me this week. Well, if you knew and you're just making it and that's how it worked. And I'm like, no, knowing how to make something and do something doesn't mean that you understand the process. Mm-hmm. This was complicated, right? But because I knew what I was supposed to be doing, I had to gain... Like, you have to actually do it a bunch of times to understand what you're doing and get some kind of rhythm. This isn't just, hey, throw this here, boil this here, move this here, smoke that, drink this, throw up in a bucket. Like, there's a lot that goes into this. You have to know every step of the process is sacred. You're doing a ritual. You are going to create the ability to travel for other people as well as yourself. So you want it to be correct. You don't want this to be a mess. And naturally, what do they tell a shaman? Practice makes perfect, right? Because I don't have anyone standing there with me doing this. So we're looking at like 10 times failure and then instant. Every single time it was one stupid thing.
Right.
Every single time
you tried to do that, it was one stupid thing.
One
But that's
stupid
because
thing.
It's more than one stupid thing. It's things going on in your life that need to be corrected. The bigger picture.
Correct. And to me, I'm like, wow, I spent 2 weeks fasting and then making it. And yeah, that's all important. But you're missing the bigger picture. The process is as important as you fasting because you're afraid to throw up and crap yourself. Because you have a fear, because now you're talking to these things, but you don't know how respectful you need to be, although you have an idea because they're so powerful, but they all love you, so how can anyone hurt you? But you don't want to do the wrong thing. What if you mix the wrong thing? Wait, what if it's too much of this and less of that?
Because the fear starts talking for you.
Everything starts talking to you at the same time, and it drives you up a wall. I went home and I failed multiple times while progressing as a man in a good way.
Yeah, as a person.
But these failures, I always say, you figured out how not to do it, right? So now you know a better way to do it. Everyone gains their ace by working through the magic. I made amends, or tried to, with where I was and who I was sharing space with at the time. And they were very unhappy with me. There was actually a group of people that were very unhappy with me. And I didn't care because I knew the truth. And I came home. The group was on me now. Everything's on me. I still couldn't believe any of this. I was like, I can't believe the group and this one fell off. And I can't believe they told me I'd lose everything.
Right.
But by losing everything, you gain everything back.
But you didn't understand what that meant.
I had no clue that they meant you're just going to lose the bad stuff and get with new good stuff.
Get an abundance of the good stuff.
Abundance, and it's infinite abundance as well. There's enough for everybody to share. So the night it worked, I just drank it. I said, it's got to work. And I just...
Well, you set your intention. You didn't even realize you did it.
The intention was already there for weeks. I was like, why isn't this not working? And I was standing in the living room of the apartment I was in, and I started pouring tears. It was 15 minutes I drank, and then it just hit me.
You had purged so many times before that you
I purged and never got an experience at points. And I said, I feel great, but it was disgusting. And I don't, it was like failure. Yeah. I just don't know. I had people with me once, and they were going to do it with me, and it failed across the board for everyone. And I'm like, oh, this isn't going to work. And I realized, look, man, concentrate on what you're doing.
Right.
Do it first. Don't worry about fasting. I will handle you throwing up on yourself. Right. Don't worry about it. So Aya walks into the room with me, and there was a friend in the room with me who walked out into the bathroom because I wanted someone to watch me, but I'm doing it solo because my life is basically falling apart and my body's shot. I just have these spinal epidurals in me keeping me going.
Right.
And I'm like, more poisons. This is all the stuff that's going on. So Aya comes in the room. She was a violet, red, pink, purple, swirling color. It looked like a tree came in from the giant bay window because I was up on the second floor. She just came in, and it looked like she was pouring in from the top of the room, but I seen her come from the window. So I said, oh, she came in and it looks like a tree. And I was pouring tears though, because the message that came with this was pretty crazy.
Do you want to go there?
Yeah, no, we're going there. I want to, yeah.
You can go there. Just say it like you have to say it.
So she said to me, I'm so sorry, but you're going to lose people. And you're starting with the person in the reflection. And I looked in the reflection, and it was the person that was with me at the time.
Yeah, say it.
Your
ex-girlfriend.
Was in the bathroom and really not happy with me in any way, shape. I don't like to talk about this, but the experience itself, she said, you have to understand that this is death for you.
She said, Aya said.
Yes. No, okay. She showed, but I was only looking at the reflection, and I said, oh, it's just a reflection. Then I understood oh, we're not real. None of this matters, does it? And then I was like, how does it not matter that you put time and effort and energy and love and caring and respect and on and you're going to what? You're going to take this from me.
Yeah.
And then she said, I don't do anything. What do you want in this world? And I said, I want to be happy like everyone else. Well, happy is a moment. You want to laugh? Ha ha. And we laughed.
Right.
But in my tears, I was like, okay. And then you want happiness? I was like, yeah. Oh, yeah. And happiness was a process that takes place and it lasts moments after moment after moment after moment after, and on and on. And that's how long the moments last.
It's energetic.
So I was pouring tears. I didn't want to. I was like, nope, not happening. And then it was like, are you happy? And I'm like, no. And it's like, is there happiness? Two things had to separate. Your how you feel in terms of, are you happy? But do you love someone? Do you care about them? But you're hurting yourself, right? So you split all this up, and you never see it as 4 or 5 separate things. You always say it's all mixed in, and I hate you for doing this to my life.
This is the pro and con column. That
Arya's telling me that you're the bad. No, she didn't say that at all. She said the bad thing is occurring because you're here. Did you fix your mistake? And I said, well, I said my piece, which was all good stuff. I had to fix because I was a little crazy with the music group and everything, always wanting to go on tour. I know how the stresses go on to somebody, but I didn't want to make it their stress. So with this, it said to me, do you want to go lay in bed or do you want to stay out here? Do you want to be alone or with someone? And I said, I'm going to be with someone, but she's going to sleep. So I laid next to her, and what I saw was her die. I watched her die in a cocoon, melted, gone. I cried and cried, and then she formed into like some kind of insect, and then moved into another layer, and then it was her again, but as she was doing something else. And I don't even know if she was a she at that point. And I said, but nobody will remember me. Nobody will remember this. And you just want me to get up and run. And it's like, we're not telling you to do anything like that. We're telling you this is what's going on. And you want to fix things. This is how you go from here. We're showing you every aspect of this. And I said, all right. I don't like this. I was crying and crying. I see that there's not 10 minutes left. It's such a hard story to tell during this.
But you have time, so go ahead.
Okay, so I was dealing with this, and it said to me, do you realize who you are, where you are? I said, I am the creator. You call me the man who walks in all worlds. I get it. But this sucks. It sucks. I was so sad. Then I turned to my left side, and out of the shadow looked dark bluish. It wasn't completely black. In through the window, I saw an entity that he came right out of the shadow. He looked me directly in the eyes, and I said, oh my God, it's a demon, lowercase g. This is going to be it right here. The battle is going to go down. And I don't know why I thought that. I'm thinking I'm the light, so this is the dark.
Right.
I'm going to super sword you with light in your face, and none of that worked. I was crying like a baby. It looked at me and said, okay, we got another thing to do here tonight. And I said, what is it? The thing that causes you to like flop on the floor and can't breathe and having panic attacks or all that weird crap that goes on that blocks your energies and this. There's something here that you brought that you have to get rid of. It's actually what's causing all of that.
An entity that you brought with you.
Yes. And I said, who is that? And it said, your own demon. And I said, a demon? I don't want to face another demon. Death everywhere. Death. I go, why doesn't everybody else wear skulls? I'm the Punisher of hip hop. You don't see me running around with skulls everywhere going, ah. And they were like, calm down. And then I went, you know what? Bring them out. I don't care. Bring them out. As I said that, it came out of my feet area. Mm-hmm. And it was like a mist of darkness.
Yeah, you must have been terrified.
Terrified? I've never seen anything like this in my life. And even in a movie, it never looks good enough in a movie. Poltergeist 1.
You can't even say anything to anyone because no one would believe you.
Yeah, no one would believe you. Like, how would you even explain this? See, I'm stuttering thinking of how terrifying. It had yellow eyes. It looked like a humanoid shape, and it was so frightening, and it went right to my face. And I said, I heard the other entity tell him what you got to say. And I said, okay, like, I'm from the Bronx. You get into my personal space. I thought punching this thing would work, choking it, like it was right in my
Yeah,
grasp.
you had to deal with it.
Yeah, that's not how you deal with a problem, actually, like punching it and stuff. Like that's it. I go, okay, buddy, you're gonna have to leave. And by leave I mean get out of here for good. And it looked at me, and I'm ready for the monster in this thing to come out, and it sounded like a little girl. It said, I don't want to go, like, like a little girl crying. It made two sounds. It sounded like a screech from, I heard a dog get kicked once, right? Like I don't prove that in any way, but it was a big dog. I saw the guy was big and he kicked it, and the sound the dog made, the brrr, right? It never left me, that sound, ever. Like it stuck with me forever. I hate that noise. It sounded like that and a child crying at the same time. And I was like, oh, I said, you're a girl. And then it said, I'm not a guy or a girl. I said, no, you're a little girl. And as I sat up, it backed off of me, and it was actually attached to my feet.
It was a piece of your fear leaving.
I said, you need to leave, and you need to go now, because I don't even deal with things like you. You're not even a real like entity. Like I kind of dissed it completely, and it didn't want to go. And I'm like, no, you have to go. Like, no, I must have looked retarded sitting up in the bed going, no, you had to go. Yeah, I could have freaked out everybody in the place. It must have looked like I was getting rid of invisible monsters or something, but this thing was there, and the other entity grabbed it and said, you heard what he said, and pulled the entity into himself, and then just backed out completely, was gone. I lay back on the bed. I'm like, yes, I fought a demon, my own, and won. It wasn't hard. I started going, that wasn't hard, but it was scary, but it wasn't hard. Right. Oh, I'm the man, Frank Castle, demon hunter, blah, blah, blah. And as I turn my head and look, right in front of me, I see a man, a big man with a dog head. He had a dog's head. Okay. Giant dude, like 8 foot, jacked out of his, had a golden rod of some kind. It was like a staff you could walk with. It had some weird ending tip on it. And he was like sitting on this chair, and it was moving towards me. And as it came into the light more, because this was happening right in the middle of the room, it was a bed that you would go to a parade, and you see the floats. Yeah. It looked like a float, but made of snakes. There was a row staring directly at me, doing their snake movement, and it was like pulling this float towards me, but it was like the wheels were all snakes, and it weren't wheels; there was just snakes slithering everywhere. But it was like in this perfect rhythm. And I started going, all right, enough of the demon stuff. The monsters has got to stop. And this thing got closer and closer until it was like life size in the room. Like he's right there. And it turned, made a left, and was going kind of out of my vision. And I started thinking, what is this thing? And why aren't you looking at me? And I started screaming, why will you not look at me? I don't know who you are, but you better look at me because I'm right here. And I don't know why it was like that. And I grabbed the snake in front of me, wanting to touch it, to say, this is God. If this isn't real when I touch it right now, I'm done. I'm never doing this again. This is ridiculous. And I grabbed it, like I went to tap it, and I smacked it. And it was real. This thing was real. Yeah. I touched it and I went, oh my God, lowercase g. And it reached out and grabbed my wrist, like bit me. And it felt like electricity running through my body. And I sat there going, ugh. And then I grabbed it and I was like, get off of me. And the float stopped, the thing that he was on of snakes. And he turned, looked down at me. And then he didn't look like he was laughing, but I felt like he thought that was very funny. And he like winked at me. And I was like, he's winking. He winked at me, and I'm like, yo, he knows I'm here. I'm like, what is this? Now, I know nothing of this character. I come out of this later on. I don't purge in the beginning for some reason, but wow, did I purge at the end. I was doing number 2 in the bathroom for a half hour just because every time I got up, I had to purge again. And we'll discuss the dark stuff that comes out of
you
people.
You released a lot of fear.
There's the AI control system has nanites that run around in this black goo that people talk about. You'll see it online. You can just type in black goo into YouTube. You'll see a bunch of people talking about it. Inside of the goo, it develops inside of you when you hold things in.
Yeah.
Negativity and all kinds of bad stuff, and you just these
Negative
weird feelings.
manifestation.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And it forms this black stuff inside of you, and it physically forms inside of you. That's when the control starts. You don't even know it's a control thing.
It's an activation.
Yes, and it makes it easier for them to communicate with you, taking pretty much over you. It's like a demonic possession, but
so get back
it's
to
an
the story, 'cause we
artificial.
only have three
This is it. This is the story. I come out and I say to myself, this was the most intense experience of my life, more than even the first couple of times. And I immediately type into Google dog-headed man, and out comes Anubis,
The Egyptian god
of the underpass, the underworld, under the chessboard, underneath the playing field of the other deities, consciousnesses.
Yeah,
the
because
Christ
he had a lot of messages for you, right? He had a lot to say to you.
This is what happens with Anubis. His statement is, now I read this immediately coming out of this experience. I was on the computer all night after this, and I typed it in, and it said, if he acknowledges you, you're allowed passage through his realm.
Yeah.
And you can maneuver freely and safe from other beings and entities of any kind. Almost like you can remove yourself from the board completely just by vibrating into this underrealm and passing. In movies, they have it's like the guy in the boat with the coin. You have to give it to him, and he takes you across. This is him. That's just a perverted version of him. And it's not that he gives you passage. You just go. You don't need him after that. I didn't have a conversation with him like that, but all of the information of the grand chessboard, which I just spoke about last week, I can maneuver off the board of any board. There's multiple layers. Remember, dimensions are different than densities. Densities go up and down. Dimensions go every which way but loose, and multiverses and on and on and on. But these things reside in densities, and in those densities, or the whole system of the universes and multiverse or whatever, they're laid in between these like sandwiches. So different chessboards, different layers, different levels, different players, different consciousnesses, reptilian, ET, Greys, Mantis. When I come back next week, we're gonna talk about my first discussion with a Mantis. So I just want to throw that out there now, because it's important to continue the story properly, because all of these things are real and they're all out there.
Well, you also got some really deep messages.
The messages don't stop. This is the beautiful part.
You addressed the whole idea that you were very unhappy.
But isn't that all that really matters? Mm-hmm. Right? Now, that means your happiness, but not crushing over other people, not hurting other people to gain your happiness. Mm-hmm. Remember, in a solution, you can't find a solution. Sometimes removing yourself from the equation is the solution. Mm-hmm. So if you can't make it fit, square peg, round hole, stop it. Stop trying to force it.
Stop pushing that boulder uphill.
Yeah. Watch what happens when you stop. Right? Go with the flow. What does Barbara say? Is it Barbara?
Marciniak.
Marciniak. Let go of put the oar back in the boat.
Yeah. Oh, that's Abraham. Abraham. Yeah, put the oars in the boat and flow downstream. Please remember to sign up at truthfrequencyradio.com.
I'm Frank Castle. This is FearLess, and we love you. Your protection from deception. May the source be with you.
I like that.